हरि ओम। ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसाधनम्। ॐ महागणाधिपतये नमः। Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to this sixth session of Viveka Chudamani. Today we are going to study six more shlokas with our team of teachers led by Dr. Hegde sir. Before that, Dr. Divakar will give us a quick recap of last class. Over to you, Dr. Divakar.
Thank you very much, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the 49th verse of the original Viveka Chudamani, or the 25th verse in this series, the qualified student asks very important 7 questions, which every seeker should remember, because answers for these questions covers the entire Vedantic knowledge. These questions are: what is bondage? How does the bondage happen? How does this bondage persist for such a long time? How can I break free from this bondage? What is anatma? What is atma? And how to differentiate between atma and anatma? Rest of the Viveka Chudamani is the answers for these questions. In the 26th verse, Shankaracharya begins answering from the 7th question, as it is the most important topic, that is discrimination between atma and anatma, consciousness and the matter. He alerts that the student should be very attentive and asks for careful listening in order to register this subtle subject matter. In the verse 27, in order to explain Atma and Anatma discrimination, Guru first explains what is Anatma and Atma. That is question number 5 and 6. First, he takes up Anatma. Anatma is everything other than consciousness. That is the entire world and also our own body and mind complex. Generally, we accept that the world is Anatma or matter. Therefore, this subject is not discussed here. Difficulty is always in accepting my own body-mind complex, which is also anatma. Therefore, this is discussed in detail in this section. Body is divided into 3 layers according to Shastras: Shariratrayam, gross body, Sthula Shariram, subtle body, Sukshma Shariram, and causal body, Karana Shariram. In the verse 27, gross body is talked about. Gross body is formed by the grossified Panchabhutas, which is the general cause. But the uniqueness which all of us have in our bodies is because of the Purva Karmas. Gross body is the temporary abode of Jivatma in order to experience pains and pleasures. Gross body has the shortest of the lifespan of all 3 bodies. From the verses 28 to 30, Sukshma Shariram, or the subtle body, is explained. In the verse 28, 8 different sets called as Puryastakam, 8 cities constituting Sukshma Shariram, is explained. These are 5 organs of action, Karmendriyas, 5 sense organs, Jnanendriyas, 5 vital energies, Panchapranas, subtle Panchabhutas, which are the raw materials, mind complex called as Antahkarana, misconception about self called as Avidya, which further results in desires called as Kama, and this further leads to Karma. Subtle body lasts till Pralayam. In the verse 29, word Lingam is used. Lingam is the indicator or that which leads to something higher. Because subtle body has borrowed consciousness through subtle body alone, one can appreciate the lender, which is nothing but the original consciousness or Atma. That is, subtle body gets the consciousness from the Karana Shariram. So let's start from the beginning. Original consciousness or Atma lends consciousness to the causal body, which is the Karana Shariram. Then causal body lends consciousness to the subtle body. And finally, the subtle body lends consciousness to the gross body. Therefore, all 3 bodies are called as upadhis, meaning it seemingly distorts the original consciousness, and we identify with this distortion because of our own ignorance. Subtle body stores all our strong impressions called as vasanas, which determine our doership, which is kartatvam, and also stores our papa punyas, which determine our receivership, bhoktatvam. Subtle body alone is active in our dream state, that is swapna avastha. In the verse 30, that explains that it is only through the subtle body we do all transactions or vyaparam in our wakeful state. That is including our own engagement in this particular class. Chidatmaha pumsaha. So Jivatma uses the subtle body for transactions with the world, just as a carpenter uses chisel and other tools for his carpentry. Takshnaha vyasadikam. Without the tools, carpenter has nothing to do and nowhere to go. So carpenter is a akarta and abhokta without the tools. Likewise, Jivatma is akarta and abhokta without the subtle body. That is, the Jivatma is asangaha. But the subtle body makes the Jivatma appear like a karta and bhokta. We move on to the next layer, Karana Shariram topic of Anatma in the next set of verses in this particular class. Hari Om, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Divakar, for a nice summary of the previous classes. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. As Dr. Divakar summarized the last class, the student has asked 7 important questions, and the teacher has begun to answer these questions by the last question, which is the 6th question, where the distinction between Atma and Anatma is being answered. And the teacher has now answered in the last question about what is this Anatma, primarily the gross body and the subtle body. Today's class is about the causal body, and one of the terms for the causal body when unmanifest is called Maya. Maya will be discussed in 3 very cryptic terms in today's class, and then we will have 3 classes relating to Atma. Let me warn you about today's class. It is going to be tough. And when the going gets tough, how does the student prepare himself for? You have to get tough, but only the tough get going. Let us invoke the blessings of Lord Saraswati to give us a sharp mind to be able to understand the subtlety. These things are very important because we realize from the beginning of Viveka Chudamani that 3 things are extremely difficult to get, and we have all of them. Durlabham trayam evatad daivanugraha hetukam manushutvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha. We have a human birth. We have this keen interest that in this life I want to understand who am I and all these questions that have been asked so that I attain to Parama Purushartha. We are so fortunate to get teachers who can give us crystal clear wisdom. And if I'm not going to use this lifetime, I'm going to miss my bus. Don't think I'll get another opportunity like this. And therefore, I'm committed. All of us here who listen to it, make this a sankalpa, make this a commitment. In this life, I am ready to do whatever is required to get that spiritual wisdom so that I can get moksha, and that requires Tivra Mumukshutvam. Tivra Mumukshutvam is a kind of a sankalpa. It is kind of a commitment. I will do it come what may. And when that drive is there within all of us, there can be nothing stopping. How do we work on that? To work on that is called Uparati or Uparama. Uparati or Uparama means what? Whatever is unnecessary in my life, whatever I can cut off, if I can sleep, that much is required so that I invest less time on myself, less time on entertainment and other things. So let me be like a student for some time, give myself the very best. And in all that I do, we have had a certain amount of experience. And this is a great verse which says, Yogaha Karmasu Kausalam. As a student, and many of our students have who are playing the role of teachers in this particular class, you will see them, are professionals who have got a busy work life. They are grihasthas, they have to run their family, and yet they are given these verses which sometimes are very cryptic. And within the period of time, they have to break their head to be able to understand and to be able to make others understand. A lot of effort is involved. But how do we do it? Yogaha karmasu kausalam. The more I feel I am doing it, just even as I'm talking, if I'm trying to feel that I am trying to speak to you, there is an ego, there is an effort, and there is more effort, there is more friction, there is exhaustion. But the more you feel that is he who's speaking through me, I'm only a facilitator, I allow him to speak, and there is less of the ego. The real experience or the real skill is I'm doing so much, but I don't feel I'm doing anything. Our teacher Swami Paramarthananda has introduced something called port. What is port? While we are students, let us work on Vairagya. Vairagya means reduce the number of possessions. The more possessions that we have, there is more involvement. Reduce the number of obligations. I have a wonderful and an important project. So I focus on less and less of obligations, less and less of social and other interactions. And my transactions are reduced to the bare minimum that my role will allow, that I will get enough time to study. Finally, to all interested students, we will give you notes before the class. We will give you brief notes so that you are oriented to what verses are coming and what is the topic that you're coming. Will be discussed today. And after the class, we will give a more detailed notes. So with this background, if there is this commitment that I'm going to work on these, I'm preparing you. Why? Because today's class will be a little difficult. Let it not put you off, but let that goal remain that I am here for something very great. And therefore, let us be ready to put in whatever it is required to be able to understand these classes and to proceed. Our opening talk will be by Sukanya, and she'll be talking on one of the first verses about the Karana Sharira related to Maya, Avyakta, and so on. Sukanya, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Viveka Chudamani is a dialogue between Guru and Shishya, wherein the Guru answers 7 questions of the student. This was beautifully briefed by Dr. Divakar and Dr. Hegde sir. In this verse, the teacher is answering the fifth question of the student. The question is, Ko Savanatma? What is Anatma? After explaining the Stula Sharira, Stukshma Sharira, this verse explains the Karana Sharira as the final part of Anatma. Verse goes like this. Avyakta Namni Paramesha Shakti Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para Karyanumeya Sudhiyaiva Maya Yaya Jagat Sarvamidam Prasuyate. Meaning, Avyakta Namni, that which is not visible. Paramesha Shakti, Maya Shakti of Brahman. Anadya Vidya, beginningless ignorance. Trigunatmika has 3 attributes. Karyanumeya, inferable from effect. That means there must be a cause. Sudhiya is an intelligent seeker who goes by Shruti Pramana for such an inference. Yaya Jagat Sarvamidam Prasuyate. By this Maya alone, the universe is generated. This verse deals with Karana Sharira and Maya. What is Karana Sharira? It is the 3rd layer in the physiological body, which is Avyaktam, not visible, not experienceable. You can only infer from Karya, that is effect. Maya is an illusion, Avidya, which projects the universe of names and forms. Karana Sharira is the subtlest body, causal body. It is the storehouse of all punya and papa of jivas, which continue even after the physical body perishes. It's the collective karma of jivas that's responsible for creation because of the surviving Karana Sharira. Before creation of the universe, there was a condition in potential form, unmanifest, avyaktam, not visible, anadi, beginningless, which manifested as matter in accordance with the law of karma of beings. Unmanifest is karana, manifest is karya, cause and effect. The basic law is matter can never be produced or destroyed. It can only be converted from unmanifest to manifest, that is Srishti, and from manifest to unmanifest, that is Pralaya. This cyclic process in cosmology is beautifully explained in Bhagavad Gita. Avyaktadvaktya sarva prabhavantya haragame ratragame praliyante tatraiva vakta sangake. This unmanifest condition is called Karana Sharira at the micro level, Veshti, and it is called Karana Prapancha at the Samashti level, macro level. There is no distinction between Karana Sharira or Karana Prapancha, Avidya or Maya. Both are Avyaktam because in potential form, both are Agocharam because beyond instrument of knowledge, and both are Anadi, beginningless. Maya is a part of Brahman, Paramesha Shakti. It has three attributes, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and is the Karana Sharira of Atma. Its Vasasthana is Sushupti condition, wherein all the activities merge into the self. Maya does not exist independently. Brahman, consciousness, lends existence to Maya. Brahman requires an upadhi, we call it an instrument, called Maya, which has three attributes to project the universe of names and forms. Maya is ignorance, illusion, avidya. This is supported by the Vedantic quote, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithyam. The universe of names and forms undergoes continuous change, as said in Bhagavad Gita. Maya Dyakshena Prakatihi Suyatesa Characharam Hetu Nanena Kaunteya Jagadvid Parivartate. The universe of names and forms revolves all because of my presence, and I support the universe. This is Krishna's teaching. Now the word Sudhiya. The distinction between Karana Sharira and Maya is evident in waking stage, me and the world. But this distinction is not evident in deep sleep, wherein the individual, the world, knowledge, ignorance, everything gets merged into self. All these are in potential form in Sushupti and become manifest on waking. An intelligent seeker, Sudhiya, for whom Shruti, scriptures of the Pramana, knows nothing can be created out of nothing. There is nothing as creation as such. It's only manifestation of the unmanifest. Now, in conclusion, consciousness is Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, Brahma. It uses Maya Shakti as an instrument for projection of the universe. Maya conceals the unreal world and projects the unreality of the world, such as Karta, Bhokta, Sukha, Dukkha in samsara. Because of Maya alone, we are all drowned in the ocean of samsara, which can be crossed over only through Brahma Gnanam under the guidance of a Guru. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sukanya, for explaining this difficult verse. And as I said, depending upon one's previous preparation, these verses become more and more meaningful. She has introduced these verses. It will be our effort, like a sincere student, to go back and see what is this Avyakta Namni, Parameshwar Shakti, Anadi Vidya, Trigunatmika, and so on. If each of these words become meaningful, then the most difficult concept of Maya will be understood. Dr. Jagdish has more to tell about Maya, and at the end of his talk, we should be able to understand this word, Anarvachaniya. Dr. Jagdish, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the journey of the crest jewel Vivek Chudamani, we have so far understood the role of Guru. We have attempted for a freedom from the bondage and taken up the work tools of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. But Maya wields all this. In the previous shloka, Maya was defined. In this shloka, it is described, and in the next shloka, it is transcended. Let us see the Maya. The shloka goes like this. Sannapi asannapi ubhayatmika no, bhinnapi abhinnapi ubhayatmika no, sangapi Anangapi Ubhayatmika no. Maha Adbhuta Nirvachaniya Rupa. Though the shloka looks tough at first sight, once we split the sandhis, we will get the core words and their meanings. In this slide, the left half gives the Padavibhaga and the right half the meaning. The first line, Sat na api, asat na api. The enigmatic Maya is neither existent nor non-existent. Ubhayatmika no, nor is she both. Second line, Bhinna api, abhinna api. She is neither different nor same. Ubhayatmika no, nor is she both. Third line, Sanga api, ananga api. She is neither parts nor whole. Ubhayatmika no, nor is she both. Well, the same refrain again, making the maze worse. Then what is she, the Maya? The answer is in the fourth line. She is Maha Adbhuta, wonderful, and Anirvachaniya, indescribable. Now, trying to put the jigsaw together, Maya is a point between the absolute reality and the transactional reality. Next slide, sir. She is only a fulcrum of the seesaw. She is not the seesaw, and she only appears to be there between the Sat and the Asat. She is totally Mithya. See the ambiguity in the first three lines. Are we lost? Are we enlightened? Or are we in a gray area? The illusion of Maya is like seeing the sun at noon on a hot summer day. Imagine that. Not only you cannot see the sun, you are overwhelmed, and when you turn away, you cannot see anything else. She cannot be defined or explained, but can be experienced and inferred just like the hot sun. The Ubhayatmika no, repeating 3 times in the 3 lines, does not mean a mixture of the two possibilities, but it should be perceived as experientially available, but yet behaving mysteriously. Let's take a few small examples for clarity. Next slide, sir. A good Vedantic example is a dream state, where the experiences are real or apparently so, because it's totally a dream. And once we wake up, well, that's it. Now let's put it technically. The seemingly existent dream has borrowed the existence from me, the waker. So also Maya. The second line is by the example of shadow and the man. Bhinna api abhinna. Much simpler. It is me and my shadow. They are not a mixture. They are different. Still, neither can exist without the other. Yet, any affectation of the shadow does not affect me. Now, for the third line, it's a little more complicated. Sanga api ananga. It's like a car. The Maya is not a total entity by itself, nor a composite body of many parts, nor is she both. Well, let's see now. In summary, overall, non-recognition of the self is the cause of Maya. Next slide. Now, as in the rope snake analogy often used in Vedanta, the snake fear exists because the Maya prevents the illumination in twilight. Maya is just like the image in the mirror, absolute virtual mithya status. Why not stand behind the mirror for a change, like the Sakshi Brahman, instead of standing in front? And finally, we need to stop being that monkey with the mobile in its left palm, the tamas, and trapped hand for the fruit in the jar, in the other hand, the rajas. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Let us be the Sattvic Hanuman, in whose bosom the Paramar Purusha is dwelling. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish, for making this as clear as possible. I know this is a very difficult verse, but it is also a very popular verse by all Vedantic teachers. And it is so musical, so you just listen to the musicality, but not really know the meaning. But now you have clearly told us what it is not, and therefore we need to be able to infer. The key word in all these is anarvachaniya. Anarvachaniya means it is something that you can experience, it is experienceable, But even though you experience, you can transact, it may be useful, it is not real. It is of a, not real means it is of a lower order of reality compared to you, that consciousness, which is a higher order of reality. At all the time, keep this reference. I am of the higher order of reality, and whatever I experience, however tangible, real, useful, transactable it may be, it is of a lower order of reality. And anything of a lower order of reality comes under the domain of anarvachaniya. We have one more verse to deal with the causal state, Maya, Avyakta. Dr. Satyanarayana, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse goes like this. Avyaktana avyaktam yeta trigunai niruktam tatkaranam nama shariram atmanaha shushupti yetasya vibhakti avastha pralina sarvendriya buddhi vrittihi. Going by the word meaning, avyaktam etat, this unmanifest Maya, which also is the seed of the entire universe. Trigunai niruktam, which is explained in the form of three gunas. Tat karanam nama shariram atmanaha, that is called the causal body of the Atma. Shushupti etasya vibhakti avastha, of this deep sleep is a distinct state. Pralina sarva indriya buddhi vritti, in which all the activities of senses and the mind are resolved. The verse meaning is, the unmanifest Maya is explained in the form of three gunas, and that is called of the Atma. Sleep is Atma's distinct state in which all the activities of senses and the mind are resolved. Next slide, sir. Answering the 7 questions of student, gross body, subtle body, and Maya with 3 gunas so far. It is in this verse that he says the Maya which is discussed till now is Karana Shariram. Maya is none other than Karana Shariram. Prakriti, Maya, Karana Sharira, Avyakta Nama, Paramesha Shakti, all are one and the same. Words are different. Maya is Trigunatmika. It has 3 qualities. Tamoguna, which implies inertia, laziness, and sleep, has bodily identification, implying gross world. Rajoguna, which is of the activity, and its expression include desire, anger, greed, etc. Sattva guna, characterized by knowledge, the qualities like amanitva, adambitva are the expressions of this. The 3 qualities pervade the entire creation. By this permutation and combination, an infinite variety of names, forms, and properties are created. This Maya has no name and form, and at the causal level, it cannot be directly perceived, but only be inferred through the effects by the wise. By this Maya, this whole world is manifest. This Maya is the Upadhi of Atma and is known as Karana Sharira, the causal body. Next slide, sir. Maya is very much present in all the 3 states of experiences. In the waking state, the senses and the mind are active. Sthula Sharira is dominant in Jagrat Avastha. In the dream state, the senses are not active, but the mind is present. Sukshma Sharira is dominant in Swapna Avastha. But in deep sleep, the world is all unmanifest. All the activities of senses, that is Pancha Gnanendriya and Pancha Karmendriyas, and the mind are all resolved. This is the state in which Karana Sharira is dominant. The waking and the dream state of each of us differ, but the sleep state is the same for all. The rich, the beggar, the ignorant one, the wise man, all experience bliss in a deep sleep state. There are no degrees in this bliss. It is homogeneous, partless, and complete. Therefore, we do not want to come out of it. We are refreshed and rejuvenated by this state. When one gives up identification with the gross and subtle body and identifies only with the causal body, will be in the deep sleep. Both in the waking and dream state, Maya is manifest in the form of subject-object experience. But in the deep sleep, it is there without subject-object manifestation. Cause and effect is an illusion. it becomes Karya Karana Mithya. Next slide, sir. When the wave is formed from ocean, it has manifested, and when it goes back, it gets in unmanifest form. Another wave is manifested later, but water is only one. Dream and wake states are similar. We have to go beyond the cause and effect. We have to be going back to the divine nature. Unmanifest at totality level is Ishvara, whereas unmanifest at individual level is Karana Sharira. But they are the same. When we are studying Karana Sharira in this light, then we are actually studying this Viveka Chudamani. Hari Om, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Satyanarayana, for dealing with the third verse on Maya, Avyakta, Karana Sharira, Karana Prapancha, and so on, with a special emphasis on Karana Sharira, more with reference to sleep. The more we understand this aspect of Maya, or what is Karana Sharira, we understand something of the mystery of the sleep that we all enjoy. We are all so refreshed. We have a state of bliss. Remember, this is exactly the same as death. This is exactly the same as pralaya. What happens in all the three? It is very common. As far as sleep is concerned, we are absolutely sure that we are going to wake up, so we have no hesitation. But the more you understand about Karana Sharira and the similarity between our sleep, death, and pralaya, you will see all these three are one and the same, and therefore the fear of death or pralaya will not be there. With that, we come to the end of the three difficult cryptic verses to deal with Karana Sharira, Karana Prapancha, Maya. Now we come to the topic of Atma. Venkatesh Prasad, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Last week, we heard Dr. Ravi Shankar explaining verse 49, in which student poses 7 questions to Guru, which again enlisted by Dr. Divakar today. The questions are, next slide, sir. What is bondage? How it has come? How it continues to exist? How liberation from this is possible? What is Anatma? What is Supreme Self? How discrimination between them is possible? After answering first 5 questions, now Guru turns to the 6th question, Paramaha Kaha Atma. Here, the word Paramatma is used from Shastric angle. From empirical angle, Atma is called Jivatma. So, Atma with limitation is Jivatma. Atma without limitation is Paramatma. When an ignorant person says, I am Machal, his I refers to Jivatma or lower self. When a wise person says, I am Immachal, the I here refers to the higher self or Paramatma. The difference is only in perception. Atma is only one. Next slide, sir. Take any text. Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, Viveka Chudamani, Panchadashi, etc. Central theme of each of them is Atma. All other topics are peripheral or supportive. That is why we call them Atma Vidya. Shankara Bhagavad Pada, after dealing with Anatma, now says in verse 124, Athate sampravakshyami swarupam paramatmanaha yadvignaya naro bandhan muktah kaivalyamashnute. Athate sampravakshyami. Now I will tell you. Swarupam paramatmanaha. Nature of Atma, which is until now considered as Jivatma, is actually Paramatma. Next slide, sir. A question arises in the mind of a student as to why should I know Brahman? What is the purpose, benefit of learning this abstract, complex subject? Fair enough. But let us go back to verse 36, where a student tells Guru, Durvara samsara davak nitaptam dodhuyamanam duradrushtavataihi bhitam prapannam paripahi mrutyo sharanyamanyadhyadaham na jane. I am virtually roasted by the most difficult fire of this relative existence, world samsara, and further tormented by the tornado of misfortune. Thereby, I am terribly frightened and violently shaken. I am seeking refuge at your feet because I know not any other altar to surrender. These are the words of student to free him from clutches of samsara. In order to get rid of samsara, it is necessary to know Brahman. This Atma Vidya is addressed only to such adhikari or mumukshu. And therefore, Shankara says, as we see in the next slide, Yat Vignaya Naro Bandhat Muktaha. Yat here means Paramatma Swarupam. Vignaya means by knowing one's higher self or real nature. Naraha, human beings. Bandhan Muktaha, Bandhat Muktaha will be freed from the shackles of samsara, freedom from wrong identification of three bodies and claiming I am human being, I am father, mother, etc. Bodies by themselves are not shackles as long as we use them, see them as costumes for worldly functioning. Use these costumes and play the role given, but don't become that role. An actor plays different characters and off the stage, he remains himself and will not be preoccupied with the roles he played. Just like that, when we are not a father, mother, brother, etc., be anchored in the whole, not in the role. Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani, meaning be anchored in Brahma Bhava. Shankara again, from verse 154 to 166, he beautifully explains Viveka Chudamani. This is the only way you get freed from samsara, bandha mukta. By forgetting my real nature, I convert life into a burden or misery. By climbing my real nature, I convert my life into a blessing. So, making my life burden or blessing entirely depends on knowledge or self or Brahman. And therefore, Kaivalya Mashnute, one attains the state of Kaivalya. Kaivalya means Kevala Bhava or Advaita Bhava. What does that mean? I alone am the only entity in the entire universe. Universe doesn't consist of many things. It consists of one thing, and that ultimate substance is me and me alone. I alone am appearing as all these things, just as Waker himself through sleep appears as the dream subject, dream objects, dream universe. I alone through Maya Nidra am appearing as the entire universe. I alone am. This state is called Kaivalya, another word for moksha. Kaivalya Masnute means moksha Masnute. One attains liberation. After giving the importance of Brahma Vidya in this verse, Shankara reserves next 12 verses to describe Atma Swarupam, which will be dealt with by coming speakers. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Venkatesh Prasad, for a nice explanation, because after listening to all the previous verses on Maya, many of us, especially those who are coming to this for the first time, get a little disillusioned. Do I really have to go through all this? But here is a dialogue between the wise student who has experienced samsara, who has experienced the limitations and comes to a guru. But the guru is very reassuring. The guru reassures, I can assure you, Kaivalyam palamashnute, Kaivalyam palamashnute iti. You are experiencing limitations because of ignorance. You have identified with your limited role that you have to play. You are someone other than the role. What is that? The next speaker will tell us. Shiv Kumar, please explain verse 35.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This verse reads like this. Asti kaschit swayam nityam aham pratyaya lambanaha avastatraya sakshi san panchakosha vilakshanaha. The literal translation goes like, there is some external substratum that supports the notion of relative I, who is the witness of all the three states of experience and yet beyond the five koshas. When we say, I am young, I am old, I am awake, I had a nice dream, I slept like a log yesterday, what is the common factor? This mantra evidences this I, a fourth component without which the physical body, mind, karana shariram are inert or dead. This fourth factor pervades this body, making it sentient. In this mantra, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya says, Kaschidasthi, there is something nityam, there is something nityam, which is permanent, eternally present in the body, swayam, that which is always evident in the form of self-awareness. Aham pratyaya lambanaha. Aham means I thought. Lambana, object. Listed in the next slide are the 5 features of consciousness, which Swamiji reminds us again and again. According to Shastra, this 4th factor is consciousness. It is elaborated in the subsequent mantras. Our Shastra defines Atma as pure consciousness, and that the surviving consciousness cannot transact or interact without a medium or upadhi, that is the body instrument. In samsara, when we say I, we not only refer to me, the consciousness, but we refer to a mixture of inert material, that is body, mind, sense complex, along with consciousness. Every individual or I is a mixture of both Atma and Anatma, matter and spirit. The knower Atma is called Sakshi, and Anatma is Pramata, the body instrument. In the popular Vedantic example of hand and light, though we see a mixture of hand and the light on it, we immediately recognize only the hand. Inadvertently, when asked, what do you see? We do not observe the light, but hand becomes primary. Although light is present, we do not recognize the light. Everybody experiences the light, but what is ever experienced is ever ignored. Vedanta says, likewise, consciousness is available and evident all the time, but not recognized. So too, when we say I, it refers to the consciousness, but we began to relate I to a mixture of consciousness and body. Then the body identification became so important that the independent consciousness principle itself was forgotten. Next slide, sir. Now, what does this consciousness do? It is the Avastatraya Sakshi. Consciousness illumines the 3 states of experience, namely Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. As a waker, I give prominence to Sthula Shariram. As a dreamer, give prominence to Sukshma Shariram. In deep sleep, I give prominence to Karana Shariram. Therefore, when I say I identify with either the physical subtle causal body, whereby I become either Vishwa, Taijasa, or Ragna. Let's look at the second line of the mantra. Avastra Traya Sakshi San Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. Means it is different from the 5 layers of personality, namely Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya Koshas. Panchakoshas can be reclassified as Shariratrayam as shown in the slide, where Annamaya Kosha is Sthula Shariram, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya are Sukshma Shariram, and Anandamaya Kosha is Karana Shariram. Atma Vilakshanaha means it is distinct from all these 5 koshas, but it is the Sakshi, a witness of them. To conclude, we go back to the hand and light example. Light is an independently existent principle which pervades and extends beyond the hand, continues even after I remove my hand. But the light, though existing without the reflecting medium, hand, we cannot notice it. Thus, shifting our attention from hand to the light is the new teaching. Similarly, I should learn to shift my attention from the body, mind, sense complex to the ever-present Sakshi, the consciousness principle, because of which alone all become relevant. It's important to know that the 4th factor, or Thuriyam, is not a separate entity, but that which is present in all the 3 states of consciousness. Please remember, everybody experiences the light, but what is ever experienced is ever ignored. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shiv Kumar, for explaining this very important verse. Look at this verse again. Swami Paramarthananda is very praises and praises this verse so much. He says so much has been packed into this verse. And these are verses that we need to spend more time. Listen to the detailed explanation of this verse. As Shiv Kumar rightly said, self-realization is not something that has to be achieved because we are already that. What is very evident, we take for granted. As you rightly said, I'm able to see everything in this room because of light on it. But when I see any object, I ignore the presence of light. I take it for granted. So too in every experience, in every transaction. How am I able to speak? It is because of consciousness. How are you able to listen? It is because of consciousness. The role of the teacher is to shift your attention from the object to the subject. If I am listening, my attention is on the sound. But can I shift from the sound to the one who's listening to the sound? And the more in all my transactions I do this, then I play that role. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam, where my mind is resting on Brahman, not only resting on Brahman, reveling on Brahman in and through all activity. And that is what this verse so nicely brought out. So the teacher is now, the student has come with distress, and the teacher is saying, don't worry, you are already that. These are reassuring verses to tell you our true greatness. One more verse on this, Atma Tattva, Neeta will explain. Neeta, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Yo vijanati sakalam jagrat swapna sushuptisu buddhi tat vritti sat bhavam abhavam aham nitiyayam. The Atma is being explained in these verses from 34 to 38. These verses are the answer to the sixth question of the student. What is Atma? In the last verse, we saw Atma is something different from the three bodies or the Panchakoshas. This verse elaborates on the Avastha Trayam, the three states of experience. The Chit aspect is being highlighted here. Atma is not just existence, Sat, but is also of the nature of consciousness, Chit. Yo Vijanati Sakalam. Yo refers to Atma. Vijanati literally means knows, and Sakalam means everything. Yo Vijanati Jagrat Swapna Sushupti Su. The Atma is the one that makes the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state known. And in the second line, the Guru says, Aham iti ayam. I am this Atma. The three states, that is waking, dream, and deep sleep, become known in the presence of Atma, and this Atma I am. Now, we have learned earlier the three states of experience are mutually exclusive. In sleep, I am completely unaware of my waker's body and body problems. In the dream, even the space and time concept are different. I take on a different body from my waking body. In seconds, I reach from Bangalore to Bombay. In seconds, I become from young to old. Therefore, I am not the three states, but rather something different from them. The Guru expounds here that I am the Atma, the knower of these states. In line 2, the Guru further explains, Buddhi tat vritti sad bhavam. Buddhi is mind here, vritti is thoughts, and sad bhavam means presence. The three states are really modifications of the mind. In the Jagrat Avastha, the mind is fully active and the thoughts are present. Atma makes their presence known, Sadbhavam. In this Swapna Avastha, the mind is only partially active with replay of past thoughts, memories, and the vasanas. And the Atma makes the presence of that known. Buddhi tadvritti sadbhavam swapna sus aham vijanati. We take from the first line. Then the teacher states, abhavam, absence. In the deep sleep state, sushupti, there is absence of the mind and thought. And I, the Atma, that makes that known. Buddhi tat vritti sushupti su aham vijanati. Now, Swami Paramatma ji explains Vijanati and Aham iti ayam in detail over here. Vijanati means known, knows. It's a verb. Generally, a verb indicates an action. An action is done by will in a framework of time. Just like but however, Atma knowing or Atma witnessing these three states, there is no action involved, no will is involved. Just like when we say the sun illumines the earth, the sun is not doing any work. The sun's nature is light, and in the presence of the sun, whichever part of the earth is exposed, that part gets brightened up. On inquiry, we know that there is no question of will, no question of decision, choice, no action or work is being done. Similarly, when we say Atma Vijanati, it gets the use of the verb Vijanati is just a compromised expression. No action is being done. Atma is a karta. The second word Swami Paramatmananda ji has highlighted is Aham iti ayam. I am this Atma. Who is claiming I am this Atma? I know Atma by itself cannot say. An Atma being inert does not know. By itself, an Atma or Atma cannot know. The knowing or the witnessing or the awareness function belongs to the mixture of Atma and Anatma. Bulb gives light only when there is electricity. Neither electricity nor the bulb can by itself illumine the room. Therefore, both the mixture of Atma and Anatma are treated as the knower principle. In saying I am Atma or I know, the contribution of Atma is passive. It lends consciousness by its mere presence. Anatma is an active contributor by generating a relevant thought. We are trying to identify the Atma component of the mixture. We cannot physically separate the two, but rather we attempt to cognitively separate them. So when I say Aham Atma Asmi, I use the Anatma to say that, but I am not the Anatma. Just like I use the glasses, but I am not the glasses. I use the mind, but I am not the mind. It is intimately close to me, so I falter to claim it as myself. If we just understand this part, to realize our true nature, it's a big leap. Dropping the attachment from the three bodies of state or states of experience will eventually happen. In conclusion, the point made in this verse is the Atma is the knower of the Avastatraya, the three states, the waker, dream, and the deep sleep. The teacher further states that this Atma illumines the mind and the thoughts in the waking and the dream state, and it illumines the absence of mind and thoughts in the deep sleep state. And at the end of the verse, the claim, I am Atma, is made. Hari Om.
Thank you, Neeta. That was a nice explanation of a really difficult verse. And it also goes to prove that we can be in the world, we can be like anybody else, and yet we can make a sincere attempt to understand and explain these cryptic verses. What is so cryptic about this? The message is we are a mixture. The body mind which we see is one aspect of me, and the teacher is now trying to vijanati, trying to draw our attention to something of the extraordinary, the enlivening principle which we cannot perceive, but we know that because of it, everything is happening. And that principle that is again difficult to understand is akarta. Although it is the knowing principle, it does not make an effort to know. To know anything in this room, I have to open my eyes, I have to see, I have to listen, I have to use an instrument. But remember, there is one thing that I don't need any instrument to know that I am. I don't need my eyes, I don't need to feel that I am. I don't need any instrument to know that I am. That knowledge or that aspect which does not need any instrument of knowledge, is the real me. The more you understand the real me and then the associated me, the body-mind complex, which comes and goes, superimposed on the other. So the teacher is slowly trying to move from Atma, Anatma, Viveka is going on. Be patient. And as you can see, those of our students who are playing the role of teachers, who are really doing a good attempt to explain, which means everyone who is listening, if you make a little attempt, Viveka Chudamani will reveal its essence. We'll conclude today's class by a little story, which is also relevant to this Atma, Anatma, Viveka. But first, listen to the story. All of us have been into some village drama scene. And one of the nice ways in which we are able to give this history of our great predecessors is by making dramas, is by making certain rural dramas portrayal. So in a particular village in Rajasthan, there was this drama of Rana Pratap going on. Here was an actor playing the role of Rana Pratap. The audience that day were very attentive. And when the audience is very attentive, you get so involved in the role. Rana Pratap got so fully involved, he forgot that he was the actor Rana Pratap. He actually believed he was Rana Pratap. For the role, it was fantastic. The problem comes when you identify a role as the real me. He goes to the backstage with the actual belief that he is Rana Pratap. And then comes the costume boy who comes to him and says, Rana Pratap, juta nikal, topi nikal. He gets very upset. He says, how can you address Rana Pratap like this? One box on his face, wearing the same costume. He comes out to the main street. And as he was going on the main street, a bus seeing a person with a funny costume stops, and Rana Pratap believes, for Rana Pratap, the bus has to stop. He gets into the bus. Trouble comes when the conductor comes to him and says, where are you going? You have to buy a ticket. He gets so upset. How can you ask Rana Pratap to buy a ticket? One more punch on the conductor. The driver who was watching all this gives a signal to the conductor not to get upset. He drives deep into a thick forest, and when he's in the middle of a thick forest, he suddenly applies the brakes. And Rana Pratap gets up from his seat and says, what's the matter? And the driver announces Chittorgarh. The moment Rana Pratap realizes he has reached his capital, he gets down. The bus leaves him in the middle of a thick forest, and Rana Pratap continues in the ignorance that he is still Rana Pratap. Friends, we have to make a clear distinction between this body-mind complex of ours, which is only a role that we have to play. And if we are stuck to this role, we are in the forest of ignorance, the avidya aranya. What is the message? All of us have certain roles to play based upon our past karma, our prarabdha karma. You can say this is the role given to us by the director. And whether it is a role of a father, mother, brother, sister, doctor, patient, our roles are very clearly defined. If you go beyond your script, you are in trouble. All of us know what is our script. So what is our job? As you wake up, you get into this body, play the role. How? Sincerely, not seriously, remembering all the time that I am someone other than the role. Keep your foot on the ground. And that foot on the ground remembers. Once in a while, you can go to the bathroom or your green room to remind yourself that this is only a role play. And I have to play my role how? Sincerely, but not seriously. And the more you understand these verses that you are not ordinary, Kaivalyam phalam ashnute, I am extraordinary, then these verses of the Bhaja Govindam become relevant. Yogaratova, Bogaratova. Whether I am in a religious program or I am enjoying myself. Sangaratova, Sanga Vihinaha. I am in the company of people whom I love, or I am by myself. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam. As long as I am aware of that principle which is enlivening me, Nandati, Nandati, Nandat eva. Thank you very much. Hari Om. Over to you, Venkatesh Prasad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, friends. That marks the end of today's class. We'll be back with a few more selected verses of Viveka Chudamani next Monday. Let's meet on Friday, same time for our Upanishad class. Please log in by 6:45 p.m. local time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.